Before beginning the implementation of the first phase of the Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, it is crucial to conduct a preference assessment of some kind, as if items are chosen that are not specific to each individual learner, then that learner is going to lack the motivation that they need to demand for those items in the first place. Being that this is such a crucial part of the first steps of teaching PECS, you can run into some difficulties if your learner is nonverbal or maybe just lacks communication skills currently. So in those cases, you can talk to parents, you can talk to teachers, caregivers, people who spend time with that child, so that you can collect a pool of reinforcing items that you know the child will be motivated to earn throughout the process of teaching them how to ask for those items. Once you have a sample of those items, you can conduct a preference assessment of sorts by offering a series of pairs of these reinforcing items to the child. So by doing so, you're kind of forcing that child into a process of natural selection, because they're differentiating between these items and making a forced choice between the two and only two items being offered to them at that time. So in that process, I can document, for example, and rank those items depending on how reinforcing they are. What types of behaviors is that child exhibiting upon receiving that reinforcer? Are they eating it, throwing it, playing with it, holding it? How motivating are those objects for that child? And by doing so, you can collect a series of items that you know are just going to be very, very reinforcing in the initial stages of teaching PECS implementation. So the successful PECS process is obviously aimed to teach functional communication skills across a variety of settings and with a variety of people. And this requires progressing through a series of 6 phases. The first phase specifically focuses on teaching the learner how to communicate. So learners in this phase learn to get what they want by exchanging one single picture in a field of one of an item for that actual item. So in this phase, the learner is present, as well as a communication partner who sits directly across from the learner, and a prompter who sits immediately next to the learner to assist with error correction in the process of teaching phase 1. So, for example, we'll use a cookie. There would be one single picture of a cookie on the table in front of the learner. I would hold a cookie, and I would also hold an open hand. So if that learner wants that cookie, odds are they're going to reach for the cookie that is in my hand to get the cookie. So in the process of that child reaching, the physical prompter will immediately redirect that child's hand to pick up the picture of the cookie and place it in my open hand next to the cookie. When that happens, I take the cookie and immediately deliver the cookie to the child saying, "Cookie." And in the process of the child eating the cookie or playing with the toy or reinforcer that they've earned, I would replace the picture back onto the table. At no time is verbal prompting utilized by the communication partner or the prompter, because you don't want the child to become prompt dependent in order to communicate. So gradually, as the child learns that they're picking up that single picture to put into my hand to earn the reinforcer that I have, the physical prompter will be faded out. And just as the physical prompter will fade out their physical prompts, eventually I will fade out my gestural prompt of my open hand, essentially asking, "What do you want?" Asking the child to put a picture in my hand, and eventually that child's going to learn that they're picking up a picture, they're handing it to me, and earning what they would like to have. Phase 1 limits the learner to specific reinforcers because you've gathered a specific pool of reinforcement, but eventually it will promote self-initiation and allow for choices to be made more freely. And as they gradually move through the other 5 phases of the PECS system, they'll learn spontaneity, they'll learn how to differentiate between items of both equal and varying preference, and ultimately use sentence structure to communicate effectively and independently using that picture exchange system. In some cases, PECS might help a learner progress to speech. It might help them transition to other assistive devices and technologies, or they may just continue to use PECS, but either way, PECS has been proven to stand alone as an effective method of communication through ongoing research.